Just under 3 years ago, in fact, it was October 2022, our guest on the podcast, episode 38, was Alex Porter, who's the head volleyball coach at the University of Essex. And as typical, we spoke about the 3 leadership lessons which he wished he'd learned earlier. Now, he's been in post for 12 years. He's just retired from being the head coach there, developed an amazing program, had some really significant success on and off the court. And so I was really interested to find out what were his learnings now at the end of a significant chapter of personal and professional development and growth. And we indeed talk about growth in him and in the young adults that he worked with. We talked about the guiding principles that he's laid down and also his proud dad moments and what it means to lead a young adult today. How do we get the very best performance working with young adults? Take a listen and please pass it on to somebody who you think would also benefit from it. Thank you. And we welcome back to the After Dinner Leadership Podcast, Alex Porter. Alex, it's lovely to have you here again. There's only a few of our guests have come back. Not that we're keeping anybody away, but it's lovely to have you back for a second helping.
I feel very honoured to be part of that small club. So thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's great. And as we'll discover some more throughout this conversation, you've been in some transition and shifting away from where we were speaking with you a couple of years ago. And we'll get into that in a second. But first of all, more important questions. We've got this imaginary dinner table around us in front of us here. And what food reminds you of your childhood?
Oh, there's a question. What food reminds me of my childhood? The first thing that springs to mind was when I was actually about 3 or 4. Yeah. And it's probably more of a memory from pictures. But there's a picture of me sat round a birthday table with some ice cream, some sausages and jelly, all in the same bowl. Oh, that's the first thing that springs to mind.
But, breakfast of champions.
Oh, totally. And I was so happy in this picture.
Very good. And the other thing that I'd like to explore as well, just thinking about your younger self. So if you imagine yourself as a 20-year-old, roughly, what was memorable about you at that age?
I went to university for 5 years, and I can remember as soon as I went to university, I seemed to fall into this leader position, like not through any particular reason of like me wanting to be a leader. Yes. I mean, I was the tallest guy on the team, and was I'm not going to say the best player. I wasn't the best player, but I was in the national team on the most regular out of the group. And so I think people just looked up to me naturally throughout that 5-year period. And then, you fall into the normal traps of becoming like the social secretary or the chairman of the club. And then you help the coach, and you just fell into these positions where every single day people are asking you for help, advice, and guidance. And, I didn't know what I was doing. As most of us do, we copied the people that were around us or helped us grow up. And then even, after university, when I was abroad, I was playing professionally again, people looking up to you and coaching a little bit on the side with like the second teams or the junior teams. And so again, constantly people looking up to me as an influential figure. And I looking back on it and thinking about it in a bit more depth, I think I actually had way more confidence back then than what I do now, which is strange.
Yes.
But also, I think I had more confidence because I didn't have that, not self-doubt, but that lack of awareness probably of what I didn't know. I know it's the old Dunning-Kruger effect, isn't it?
Yeah, I was wondering
like,
about that.
You don't know what you don't know at the beginning. So you're like, let's go. And then once you start to realise you don't know stuff, then you start to make yourself doubt a little bit. But yeah, I just remember having a lot of confidence and just suggesting, let's go do this. And everyone would just go and do it.
Yeah.
And that probably got me in a little bit of trouble. Thank God we didn't have camera phones back then. I'm joking. It didn't get me in trouble. But I look back at that time and think I had a lot of fun in life. And I think that, people just naturally gravitated to the tall guy because
Yes.
people thought he knew what he was doing. And I can tell you, I definitely didn't know what I was doing at that age.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we touched on this purpose last time in the conversation. There's a physical presence that you have with the height and stature, that type of thing. But there's something, I love the way you've brought the confidence piece in there as well, because you could have that height and the physicality, but not necessarily people gravitate towards you. So there's something in the behaviors, the character that we're saying, hey, this is someone I want to follow.
Yeah.
Perhaps some technical prowess on the volleyball court as well was an advantage, but I expect it wasn't just that. I think it's something around the way in which you were behaving, was saying, hey, this is someone that I would like to follow, someone that's worth being a leader, even with a small L, even if it isn't official.
Yeah, I think it's probably, when you go to university, you go and join different clubs, don't you?
Yeah.
And you try new things. And when there's someone there with some confidence, like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And then you just follow them. And there's a couple of guys in my first year that I definitely gravitated towards. And I was like these guys know what they are doing. They're only like 3 years older than you, which in the grand scheme of things is nothing. But at that age, you're really impressionable. And I'd never really thought about it that much, actually, until this conversation. But you can make real impressions on young people just by having confidence, not necessarily by having the know-how.
Yeah.
Quite powerful, isn't it?
It is. It's great. Now, let's fill in the gaps a little bit, because some people may not have listened to the previous episode. So give us a little bit of an indication of, I mentioned this transition you're in. What's happening for you right now? Where have you been? Where are you at the moment?
So I've just finished at the University of Essex as the head of volleyball and the men's head coach for the Essex Rebels volleyball team. So 12 seasons I was there. There was no program when I started. I was the first full-time coach, and we were ranked, 80, 90, 100. Like we were not very good at all. And then, we grew, we learned a lot, we developed a lot. And so this year we won the Bucks, which is the university championship for both the men and the women. The men won the National Cup, which is like the FA Cup of volleyball. The men also won the Super League regular season, so just think like the Premier League title in football. And then we won the silver medal in the Super League Final Four, which is the playoffs. And we're one of the youngest teams in the Super League. Half that group has played for their national teams at either junior or young senior level. There's a couple of guys at this very moment in time away with the U22s over in Holland, preparing for the Euros. Like, we've grown a lot, and we're considered one of the best teams in the country, and I'd like to say the best program in the country. If you're an athlete that want to develop and grow, you go to Essex. So we created that environment to develop growth both on and off the court. And so I've just finished there. And now it's the first time in 33 years that I've not played, coached or administrated volleyball in any way, shape or form, which feels really strange. But I've been doing a PhD part-time for 5 years, and this is an opportunity for me to get that done. I want that off my back. And then I'm also just become a partner in a recruitment agency that helps international student athletes come to the UK and study and play at UK universities. So the day-to-day grind of coaching, I don't know if I've finished or if this is a pause. I haven't decided yet. I think I need a bit of time to breathe, to know whether which journey I'm going to take. But the recruitment aspect is really exciting, because actually you're helping these young adults choose a path, and I've got to try and help facilitate them choosing the right path that's for them, and helping them understand that the UK education system is different to the US or to Canada or to Mexico, and those conversations are quite exciting for them. It's like, oh my God, this is like a whole new world for them, and a lot of them had never travelled outside of North America before. So a lot of exciting conversations going on.
Brilliant.
But yeah, complete change.
You had, what proportion of North American athletes did you have in the last season? Because there's a few that I'm aware of.
So on the men's team, we had 18 guys in the roster, and we had 3 Canadians.
Yes.
Most years we have between 2 and 4 internationals on the men's side. The women's side, we have a couple more than that, but not excessive amounts. It's not 100%. Far from. Maybe 50% push on the women's side. Yeah, but, so helping those come over, and now I'm working with 9 universities rather than just one university, and I'm working with specifically 4 sports that I'm looking after. So I'm having to learn a lot about American football and rowing and tennis. But it's exciting for me. It's fun.
Great. Well, I wish you the best of success with that. You wrote a really nice LinkedIn post when you left the university, and perhaps to add to what you've said already, over the course of more than 500 games, we earned 10 national titles, 7 conference titles, a record across all the sports at the university. The true highlights were supporting 32 athletes win their first senior national team cap, watching 27 athletes go on to play professionally after graduating, and then jumping down a little bit further. We are rebels with a cause, and the cause was never just volleyball. It's been about helping the student athletes become not just better athletes, but better human beings, supporting their growth on and off the court.
Yeah, 100%.
It's nice. I love that. There's other great things in there too, but I thought that was a really good way of capturing it. The better human beings, Alex, why was that an important part of your coaching philosophy?
Because, sport is such a small part of life, but it's a great tool to help people grow. Some people, when they finish at university, that's it. That's them done. They won't play ever again. But the lessons that we can learn through that period will be with them forevermore. And I don't really know why that was such a powerful message for me. It wasn't like there was one thing that happened. It was like, right, we've got to go down this route. But I look back and I think about what I call the proud dad moments of where, players more recently, after they graduated, I keep in touch with majority athletes, even if it's just an occasional text message. But, they'll get back in touch and be like, oh, I never realised you were helping me so much to become an adult, to find a way to deal with stressful situations, to deal with my colleagues at work, to deal with people underperforming at work or in life. And those skills you helped us acquire meant that, I've become a better human being, and I can be more successful in life. And I think that's important, isn't it? It's sports a vehicle for self-development, and it teaches us stressful situations. It teaches us pleasant situations. It teaches us for delayed gratification. Hard work and teamwork and all these other buzzwords. And I look back and think, that was the most important thing. Like when I first started out, I was like, yeah, let's go win. But actually, the quickest route to winning is not necessarily the right way to win. I think think there's got to be a bigger message. And that's getting the right people on the bus and helping the right people become good human beings.
Yeah. You mentioned proud dad moments. Is there one specifically that you could share? Not to call out anyone's name particularly, but what sticks in your mind? Maybe even off this last season where proud dad was in the room.
Maybe not from this last season that I'm ready to share just yet.
Okay, fine.
There is one, but not just yet, because everyone will know who it is. Okay. But there's one individual that's been in touch a couple of times over the last year, 18 months, maybe a bit longer actually, maybe 2 years. And this individual, I can remember him saying to me, probably like 2 years after they were at Essex, like, the only reason I came to Essex was because you came to a national team camp and you were the only coach to come up and spoke to me and gave me 2 minutes of your time. And I was like, wow. I didn't realise it was just something as small as that. And he was just like, I know how that these small interactions can then have drastic effects on people's lives. And you've taught me the power of that. And I was like, oh, wow, okay, that's brilliant. And then he contacted me after he graduated because he wanted to go to Hong Kong. I was like, do you know anyone in Hong Kong that works in this area? And I was like, funny enough, I do actually. And so put him in touch with a friend of mine, and off he went and had an amazing year out there, come back and was like, do you know what? I didn't realise volleyball, like the network that you've helped me build, is so important, because I can meet anyone everywhere in the world. I could be in Texas and I could find someone that's one person removed, or that was a former player from the Rebels, or like, and so his network was just growing because of that. And he's like, I never realised that yet. And thank you for helping me understand that. And I was like, well, you've helped yourself understand it. And then probably the nicest one was when he got a job working in a phone shop. So he called me up. He's like, I just wanted to say thanks. I was like, what for? He's like, oh, I saw an advert in a shop. So I went in to say, hey, can I apply for this? And it was just a front of house sales job, selling mobile phones. And within a couple of weeks, he got a promotion. And he's like, okay, well, brilliant. This is amazing news. Like, well done for you. And he's like, no. I want to say thank you to you, because you taught me, turn up in the morning, shake people's hands. When people give you something, say thank you. When you ask for something, say please. Just being a nice human being. And it's like, no one else in my workplace does that. And I got a promotion because I do that. I'm just being a good human being. It's like 100%. Good things happened to those good people. And he loves phoning me up, rounding me out the blue, and goes, Coach, this has just happened, and it's related to this. So, I just, he's one that keeps in touch a lot, and he's always reflecting on his journey, and he's always showing his appreciation, his gratitude for those experiences that we helped him go through.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, you've spent a lot of time helping others grow, and you've kind of physically grown a enterprise within the university that's been very successful. Let's zoom in on you. You've touched on it a little bit, but I want to zoom in on Alex now. Like, how have you grown over the last 12 years? As you look where you were 12 years ago and where you are today, how have you grown as a leader?
I don't have all the answers. That's something I've learned. I learned that very early on. We were able to recruit a couple of guys from, at the time, the best team in the NCAA, like the American University League. They were like back-to-back champions. How on earth I recruited them, I have no idea. But they knew more than me in certain areas, and that became evident quite quickly. And so it's like, well, actually, rather than me, I'm the man, I should work with this. I should embrace this. Multiple times they would say to me, hey, coach, can we do it like this? instead, because
Yeah.
this might work. I'm like, yeah, let's give it a go. And I think that definitely cemented this lifelong learner in me, that there's always more to learn. And I can't remember the quote, but it's something like the more you learn, the more you realise you don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's so true, not just in sport, but in everywhere in life. And so I think that's a real big piece for me. I think owning mistakes and just being honest, I think is really important. There's been plenty of times over the years where you've done something and you're like, oh God, why did I do that for? I could get away with it, but actually, let's own it and let's treat it as a learning experience.
And how have you grown? What ways have you grown through those things? So if we take that first point and not knowing everything, you don't have to have all the answers. So in what ways has that helped you to grow as a leader?
I think it's maybe become more open, more empathetic to other people. And I think it's really changed how I coached, like actually on the court, really changed that. So if I look back to how I started when I was at Essex, I was very much a technical, like this is the way to do it. This is the only way to do it. But there are a million ways to do anything, and who says that this way is the right way? And I can remember reading a piece of research from an American university that looked at, it was the Rio Olympics, and was that 2016, wasn't it? So I'd been in post 3 years at that point, and they were looking at the setters, and so you've men's and women's setters, every single one there. So you've got the best 32 setters in the world, and they looked at their technique, and all of them were different.
Right.
But they're the best 32 in the world. So how can you tell me that way is the right way? It's just might be a better way than other ways of doing it. And that really opened my eyes. I was like, okay, so I have to be more broad with this. I need to know what my principles are, but I shouldn't be forcing that down people's throats. It should be, well, actually, you might be slightly different to you, like your height, your jump height, your hand shaping, like your natural hand shaping might be different.
Yeah.
So actually, let's find a way that's more suitable for the individual. And then that led me to go down something called ecological dynamics, which talks about the whole environment of the athlete, and allowed me to really come up with a way of coaching of guided discovery. So lots of questions, and it's a dialogue between me and the athlete, or me and the team, to try and come up with the best solution. So it's not me telling, and that's something I think I've really learned as well. Is telling people doesn't work. If it was that easy just to tell people, every team could be the best team in the world, but it's not, and that's not how we learn either. Everyone always thinks as well, like once you've learned a skill, that's it. You've mastered it. Like a skill is not fixed. Yeah. If you don't ride a bike for a couple of years and you get back on a bike, you're going to wobble all over the place for the first bit. Yes, it'll come back, but skill is so fluid, and so we have to be aware of that. So telling people that is important, and then knowing different solutions is also really important.
Great. I remember coming to watch one of your games, and there was a basketball match either before or afterwards. So I just remember the two contrasting styles. There was a basketball game we were watching, and there was a coach for the basketball team. It wasn't Essex. It was I think they were from Kent or something. Anyway, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, the coach there was like screaming and yelling at the players. They were losing, and you could just see the performance getting worse. And he was like just the hairdryer coach, which is kind of the antithesis of coaching for me. It's like, how on earth, they're going to go on and just out of fear try and perform better. And then watching the volleyball and seeing you guys and having worked with you and the team and just seeing your style, it was just so chalk and cheese, between the two sides and the two games. And yeah, I get staggered. Clearly, again, in the spirit of what we're saying, there is different ways of coaching.
Mm.
But the screaming at your players to try and help them to perform better, for me, just seems so self-defeating and short-termism. It might achieve something in that game, and it might be a moment, but for prolonged kind of yelling and screaming and calling off on the sidelines, when someone makes a mistake, it just really staggers me that still exists almost, as a method.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
when I think it's one way traffic. I think you never go from being a laid back coach to then screaming and ranting the whole time. If anything, through the journey of self discovery, you realise that ranting doesn't work. It's not good for your own health, that's for sure.
yeah,
Like your own stress levels and blood pressure go through the
yes.
roof. But it's not good for the athletes either. Their amygdalas are going off and fight and flight, which then is not good for decision making.
Yeah,
And when you're in a pressurized situation with the game anyway, why would you want someone to be under even more pressure? Like, you don't train in that environment, so why would you expect them to be able to perform in that environment? Like, don't get me wrong, I was always very open and transparent with my athletes that none of us are going to perform at our best every single day, and I'm going to have what I used to call an efforty FF session where I'm going to rant at you, and it's nothing to do with you. I can guarantee it. Like, it's something
yeah,
else that's happened in my life. Yeah. And like the last one I had this year, it was on a Tuesday morning, and I went off for about 90 seconds. And then I turned around hoping there was no one on the balcony. And then one of the players come up to me afterwards, went, "You good?" I'm like, "Yep, you? Yep. Okay, let's crack on." And they just knew it was nothing to do with them. They were literally
yeah,
the straw that broke the camel's back. But I can't be. I'm not a robot. I'm not perfect. I can't be 100% all the time, and neither can they. And
yeah,
that's why being empathetic and athlete centered, you have to understand that you don't know what's going on in someone's head. You don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Some of these athletes, they turn up and that's the highlight of their day. And I might be the only person they speak to all day. And if I'm like hairdryer treatment, it's not good for anyone,
yeah.
is it? You've got to look after these people to get the best out of them. And I've generally had them for 3, 4, maybe 5 years. And so it's that growth in that relationship, that trust to really take the team to the next level. So I'm with you. I'm not a big hairdryer person, the old Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
That's not me in general. But I also know from all the science that I've read, it doesn't really work. It might work for like 1 point, but after that, it's pointless.
Great. Well, so much interesting things going through my head here just around
Sorry.
this. But no, don't apologize. It's great. You've mentioned guiding principles before a few times, and you've talked about this kind of getting there early and please, thank yous, this kind of things. What's one of the guiding principles that is prominent in your mind for you as you come into this next phase of your leadership journey? Because you're crafting a new, let's go, a new version of yourself as you kind of leave coaching behind, whether that's temporarily or not. It's got different routines, different rhythms, different demands that you have. What are the guiding principles that's prominent for you going into this new phase?
I think the biggest one that just jumps out straight away, is being intentional. Because, if a comparison to on the volleyball court, are we just going through the motions, or are we actually like trying to work towards something? Because if we're going through the motions, we're either treading water or actually we're getting further behind. Whereas if we're intentional, that doesn't mean it's going to work, but that means I'm going towards something.
Yes.
The whole fight or flight. Am I running away from fear, or am I going towards something? And so, being intentional with my actions allows me the opportunity to grow, because I know where I want to be. but I've got to figure out what journey, what path am I going to take with this? Who am I going to speak to? Who am I going to create a network with to support them and to support myself? So yeah, that's the first thing that
Great.
jumps to mind. And then the second thing is probably finding some mentors. I'm really early in this new journey, so I need to find some mentors to go, what do you do? How do you do that? And more importantly, why do you do that?
Yeah.
What can I learn from you? And I'll make it into my own version of it, because you've probably heard it a million times on these calls, but the best people are just very consistent with what they do, and they all have mentors. They all have, whether that's official or unofficial mentors, they've got other people to support them on their journey to whatever their destination is.
Yeah, great. What are you excited by as you look ahead?
Time. Of having time. So my previous job was all encompassing, and I knew that, and my family knew that, and they knew that for 6-7 months of the year, like, Daddy's not around very much because the training times are very antisocial. The games are not just like 3 hours. On a home game, we'd be in at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and I wouldn't leave till 6 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
And I've got 2 young kids, and so they would get involved as much as they could.
Yeah,
They'd be the mascots on a match day and come out, and at the end of a game, they'd run on and they'd high five all the players as well. So it was beautiful to see it. And I'm actually really going to miss that. I think that was a special time in their lives and my life, of them having all those volleyball aunties and uncles, as they called them.
Yeah.
That relationship's going to change. And then the other 5 months a year, I'd have loads of time, and now I'm going to have more time, and I'm going to get to spend some time with the kids and time with the wife to really, just watch them grow right in front of my eyes. You don't see them for a couple of weeks and they change, don't they? So
yes.
I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward just to learning a different thing. Not that you plateau, but you can get a little bit stagnant when you don't necessarily always have the resources to go to the next level. I'm pushing on the edge of what we can achieve, and so I've got a lot of growth to do in this new area. I've got my PhD to finish, and I want that done by the end of the year. So I'm going to be super intentional with that, and I'm going to really try and find out as much as I can about this recruitment role to take it to the moon, basically.
Great. Nice one. I'd love to just have you talk about your reflections of working with this young adult demographic generation, whatever. Sometimes it can get a bit of a bad press in the media, snowflakes and all this kind of stuff. What have you learned about working with younger people? And I'm thinking, if I can just add something to this, so people in the commercial setting are hiring, whether it's interns. I was just doing a session with some interns this morning, and graduates, these kind of things, and thinking about how to get the best from them and help them to engage with the kind of a work setting. What insights could you provide that would be helpful for that?
I think that the world that I lived in was unique. My students would say it to me that I don't know how normal students miss class. I don't know how they don't turn up. I don't know how they don't hand in their assignments. Because, our guys have got an extra 20 hours a week of volleyball, if not more, actually, when you think about the travel as well.
Yeah.
And so I think student athletes are a real valuable tool for any business, if I'm honest, because they're not just a year or 2 years ahead of a graduate. I think they're probably more like 7, 8, 9 years ahead. Not of the business knowledge, obviously, but of those social skills. On the way back from some of the bus journeys, the last few games of the season, they're all on the back of the bus singing, and singing songs from like the 80s and 90s. And I think that social bond, I think, and I could be completely wrong, so I hold my hands up if I am, all right? I think the student athletes, that social bond that they have, that social interaction that they're forced to have through the daily training, the time on buses together, the highs and the lows that forge those relationships and those social skills. I think we're lacking that a little bit with the younger generation at the moment, because it's so easy to, and we're all guilty of it, of just picking up the phone. You know what? My phone, I've got a folder and it's called antisocial. It's not called social. If I open that folder, I know it, so Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, that's antisocial. Like, you're not actually being social with other people. And I think those soft skills, that's the word I'm looking for. Those soft skills of student athletes are far superior to other younger people because of the environment they're in. They have to have those honest conversations. They have to ask for help. They have to, help their teammates because they want to win. They've got that competitive drive. And, we used to do like gratitude sessions, like 2 minutes of gratitude every single evening session. I'd pick a random subject for the week and I'd ask them to turn to the person next to them and just say why they're grateful for something. And it might be the colour orange. And they're like, what am I grateful for? Orange. Oh, I had an orange juice for breakfast this morning. It tasted so good. Like, just those small little things where I might be like, no, did you not see the sunset as we walked in? Oh, it was beautiful. You're like, you're a 19-year-old boy. What? No one would ever think that you'd be saying that the sunset was beautiful. Those soft skills, I think, are really, really heightened with student athletes, and not just volleyball, like all student athletes. And so I think that's a real plus for the workforce. And if I was a 18, 19-year-old right now, of course I'd be on social media, they all are, but I would also be really trying to put myself out there in an uncomfortable situation. Yeah. When we're uncomfortable, we grow, we learn. And we've done that as part of our pre-season meetings. I ask them to go and do something uncomfortable, to go and talk to a random person, ask for a discount, even though they know they're not going to get a discount. And some of them come back and went, I got a discount. Like, they're going to a coffee shop, going to a Starbucks and ask for a discount. Like, it's never going to work. And then they find that it does work. And actually, like, oh, that's really good. And I was like, what was the person's name? I'm like, no, I don't know. Like, you didn't say thank you to them. Hey, next time you do it, go and say thank you and mention their name. And you'll make them feel really good as well. So I've gone on a bit of a tangent there, but I think
that's great. It's really interesting. Yeah.
I think there's a lot of hope for those student athletes, and I think if other students want to put themselves, make themselves stand out, I think those social skills are how to do it.
Yeah, great. Alex, thanks so much. It's really good to catch up with you again and for you sharing some of the insights, and clearly wish you the best of success with the PhD in the short term and the extra time that you have with your family as well, that you'll get the benefit from that, and they will too, of course. And maybe in a couple of years' time, we'll have you back again and find out what's going on there.
Yeah, Simon, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And thank you for being part of my journey at Essex over the last 12 years.
It's been lovely to watch you watch the successes. Yes, it's great to see that from the sidelines, but I like the manner in which you work with your team. Has been a good lesson and learning from me too. Thank you for joining us at the After Dinner Leadership Table, and trust that you've got good value from listening to this episode. Thanks for being here. One question for you. The question is, so what? What will you do with what you've just heard? And here's a few suggestions. Number 1, lead with more purpose. 2, mentor with patience. 3, share with pride. You think of anyone who you know that would benefit from listening to what you've just heard, that would help them to be a better leader today or in the future. Please share, like, subscribe. It helps other people to consume the content. And we wish you all the very best of success. And please listen again to another After Dinner Leadership conversation.